Hello and welcome. It's Ask the Coach time again. One of my favourite webinars that we do, where we get coaches in to answer your questions, your queries, your troubles, your challenges, anything to do with the recruitment industry. And we're here to help. I'm Angela Cripps, MD of the Recruiting Gym. I will get the coaches to introduce themselves in a second because you have an action to do while they're doing that. We've got 5 questions we've already gathered over the last couple of weeks. If you have a question you want to ask the coaches, when you hear their intros, then please do put those in the chat. Morning, Fiona. Nice to hear from you. There's Charlotte in there as well. You'll see the questions under Ask the Questions. If you want to go to that, someone's already in there voting. Vote for the question that you want answered first, just in case. This goes about 45 minutes. But if for any reason you've only got 20 minutes at a lunchtime, then we're lovely to have you. But if you want to vote for your question to put it further up the list, then we'll answer them in a different order if we need to. Okay, let's go with the intros while you're doing that. So first and foremost, we've got a new coach with us today. So let's introduce Robin. Robin, if you could let everyone know who you are, what you do.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning still, actually. Good morning. My name's Robin McDonald. I'm from Rubik Talent. We are a talent firm specifically helping young people into careers into recruitment and sales. And we started last year and we're growing this year. So good to be here and good to meet everyone.
Love that, the fact that you're helping and specifically as well, young people get into the industry. We need to make sure that we're always getting that new blood coming in with new ideas, diverse talent. That's what we're all about as well. Fantastic. Claire, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, everyone. I'm Clare Davis and I am the mental health coach for the Recruiting Gym. So it's all about spotting the signs, having those conversations and preventative measures for more positive mental health in recruitment.
We've definitely needed you these last 2 years, Claire. So thank you for everything you do for the Recruiting Gym. It's been really important that we've made sure that we've spent a lot of time on that as well. So yeah, we've got more questions today still coming through. And then John.
Hello, I'm John Brooks. I work with recruiters on their pricing strategies. So getting paid, getting valued for what you do, getting higher fees, retainers, things like that. I should explain the sunglasses, I guess. Got back from holiday yesterday, so it's actually pretty dark here. So they've been useful for 7 days, but I will take them off now because I can't see.
Thank you for joining. You literally got back from holiday last night, didn't you? So thank you for joining us today. Much appreciated. And yeah, pricing strategies. You've probably been really busy as well because it's one of those areas that people always need to work on. But it's an interesting market at the moment, and we'll get into that a little bit more and how that's impacting people. So do say hello. We're a friendly bunch. I can see more people coming in. I can see we've had new people join us as well. There's 2 new people that's joined us since I started. Fantastic. So do say hello, and if you've got a question, please let us know. Right, let's see what was top of the list then on the questions at the moment. We've only had a couple of votes, so everyone's quite happy. They all want to hear all of them. So let's go with question 1 then. Robin, I'm going to come to you first, and I'm going to put a poll in with this as well. So please answer the poll as Robin's talking. We're looking at the way that our company structures the recruiting team. We've tried 360 in the past. This is a company that's been going about 5 years, just to let you know. The amount of work that's coming in, we seem to do better at splitting it. So they've got a delivery team, they've got a BD team, they've got the 180, and that seems to be working. But they want to get our views on this. What do the coaches think is better? So yeah, Robin, if we can come to you with your answer.
Yeah, of course. It's a great question, and it's a great question not just for clients or for recruitment firms and how you structure your recruitment teams, but it's also a great question for young people who are going into their first career, because we get asked all the time, am I better suited to a 180 role or a 360 role? And what role should I really go for? And how do I position myself so I, first of all, get a job? But second of all, actually get the one where I'm going to thrive. And I think the summary from the person who authored the question is a very good strategy. I do believe that distinguishing the different types of roles based on the skill set of your people is an effective strategy, because that allows them to specialize. And by allowing them to specialize, they can be more effective, and they can achieve their targets quicker and achieve higher targets than they would be able to if they're a quote unquote generalist and have to go and speak to the client and then have to go and find the right candidates. Now, I will preface this by saying that it certainly depends on your business. So if your business is highly specialized, for example, if you're in the market for finding really, really senior people where there's only a handful in the market, well, actually, that person is probably a specialist already in terms of knowing the market and knowing who's both going to buy and where the supply side is. So in that situation, yeah, it's probably good to have someone who does 360 role in its entirety. But where you're looking for and supporting clients with lots of demand for, well, I'll use the term commodity-based roles where you know it's a Java developer, for example, and then it's best for someone to specialize on knowing the supply market extremely well and having multiple different channels into there in order to continually build up your pool of talent. And it's also good for someone to liaise and be able to talk to clients with a broad knowledge of the market and be a consultative approach to your sales team. So big fan of specialization and individualization. Now, that's also to say that people should be able to flip between roles should they so wish. So I think there's quite a bit to unpack there, and I'll cede the floor for other people to comment on.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I've worked in sort of both sides, and you're right. There's pros and cons to both, and it's really about your market, isn't it? And what's likely to go over well with the candidates and the clients. Maybe start with the customers and think about what would be right for them. The poll, just to clarify, just in case that you've not worked in these roles before. So the 360 is where you do everything. You take the role on, you find the candidates, you interview them, you go through the whole recruitment process with the client. The 180, you could be either or, BD side or delivery side. So you find the candidates and you work through the process with them, or you go out and get the business. But I have put in there as well 3 times 120, because we have got it set up where you have a delivery team that does the process, you have a candidate focused team that finds and sources the people, and you have the BD team that brings it in. So there is the potential to split it down even further, or none of the above. Now, I can see a lot of people in here, but no one's voted on the poll. I have actually put it in there, haven't I? It's visible. So if you can vote on that and let us know what you are, that would be great, so that we can actually see what type of people we've got in here. Okay, so think about your customers. Think about what would be right for them. And I think I liked your point. Think about the individual. Let them shine at the moment. The business is so busy, isn't it, Robin, that if we can play to people's strengths, and it might be that it's candidate focused.
Yeah, and one of the things that we always talk about with young people is about their characteristics and their skill sets and where they feel most natural when they're coming into this industry. And so, you know, there's always the term hunter versus farmer in sales, and while I hate to pigeonhole people, it is important for people to understand their strengths and to focus on the one that they're most comfortable with, especially when they're getting started. And if that means that you're good with supporting existing relationships and an account management function, then you should absolutely play to your strengths. And if you're better and if you've got a attention span that's relatively short, you should probably be doing the 360 role, talking to lots of different clients, because ultimately that's how you're going to be stimulated, and that's how you're going to succeed by absolutely smashing your targets.
Yes. So lots of different job titles, lots of different opportunities. And that's why I love the recruitment industry as well. So it doesn't matter. You can even create something new if you wanted to do that key account management team, so delivery team, but you are creating and generating new sales from those people, but it's all through the relationship. So still...
Can I say something on that, Angela?
Yeah, go for it.
Mental health. So working to people's strengths is actually much better for people's mental health. So it makes people a lot happier, but also on the business side, science and research has proven people are a lot more productive they reach their targets more, and there's less sickness and less staff turnover. So playing to their strengths is so important. So thank you.
So we've
yeah,
done.
I think that's absolutely right. And to take that just a little bit further, I remember at one point in my career, I was succeeding in something in the account management function, and I stepped out of my comfort zone and I tried something new. And ultimately, I felt good for trying something new, but I didn't succeed at it. And that actually made me realize I'm actually better suited over here. And I came back, and then I thrived again. And so you're absolutely right. Play to your strengths. If you find something you're good at and you like it, you should be doing more of it.
Yeah, I think that was something that came out of the pandemic when it all started as well. People were like, let's not try and get everyone to do everything at the moment. What do you like? What do you want to do? Let's just focus on that. And that's generated more. And that's what we're seeing, actually. 75% of people are the 180 roles. They're focusing, they're specializing. So that's interesting. So keep voting. I know there's a lot more people in there that haven't. So we'll come back to that at the end and see where we've ended up with regards to the people here. Right. Let's click that button then. That one's done answering. Next one that's on the list is question 3. So John, I'm coming to you. I'm surprised that I'm having to do this when it's a candidate market. That was the conversation. But how do I get my clients to value what we do for them so that they're not always asking for discounts? So they're still asking. What can we do, John?
Yeah, I think the downside is we've trained them pretty well. We've trained our clients pretty well to ask for discounts. We've rewarded them for decades. We go in, we use language. We may still be using language. So check the language you're using of, oh, my normal fee is this, or my standard fee is this. So implicitly we're saying we're open to discounting. It's also an exceptional bubble we've been in, having gone from complete turnaround from 2 years ago where it was a completely client-driven market to now a completely candidate-driven market. So that change has happened so quickly that clients aren't necessarily going to keep up with that in the same way we do as recruiters who are seeing that every day. I'd say the key thing is, or 2 words, listening, first of all. So make sure you're hearing what your clients actually want. What do they value? So it's not just us talking at them and saying, here's what I do. Oh, I'm the #1 recruiter in this space. I do this, this, and this. I use video. I use these psychometrics. Monologuing, as I call it, just talking at them doesn't make them engage with you. The next thing to do, the way to solve that is create choice, which creates conversation. And then obviously listen to their answers. So if you say, okay, I have the option, I have a few approaches. One way really focuses on assessment. So I've got this great psychometrics, but another way, it's a little bit faster. We don't need that. So let's talk about which would you choose? And the client then has to make a decision, maybe a decision they've not thought about before. So they have to think, okay, what do I value here? We get to hear what they value, and we stop the conversation going to price and discounting. So they start saying, oh, Angela really gets me. She's asked me which, she's got 2 great approaches by the sound of things, but I've got to work out which one's right for me. She's helped me decide which one is right. Wow, I really value her advice. She's really consultative. The fee kind of just comes to the end rather than us defaulting back to, hey, I can fill that role. It's normally 20%. And we know where that conversation goes.
Yeah, that language I hear it all the time. Our standard terms are, and it's like, well, what are your non-standard terms then? That's what I want to know straight away as soon as you say that. But by giving them those options and then realizing, I've been in the situation this week. I must admit, we don't negotiate on our rates. But a client we went through everything and she was like, right, I'll have a think about this. Oh, by the way, our last person that we're not using anymore charges 1/3 less than you. So can you do it for that? What's that got to do with me and my service? The fact that the last person charged that, maybe they were worth that. my coaches are worth a lot more. So yeah, interesting. It's always an interesting discussion, isn't it, to do from there. So let's check the language. Let's make sure that we're giving them the options so that they can then see which path is right for them. And is it helpful then that those options are very obviously differently priced?
Yeah, there's we don't have time for it now, but there is a theory to pricing your services, which is in my course.
Charlotte, get the link in.
I always say, won't do any plugs, and then it's like, well, it's in the course, so I'll mention it. The key thing on that, a mistake I've seen a few people do, if you're talking about pricing choices, is some people, some recruiters I've seen create 2 or 3 choices. There is clearly a better choice. Ideally, you shouldn't favor one choice. You should have 3 different choices that suit different types of clients. So that's the first thing. But then sometimes they price them the same and then say, well, you would go for you go for the best one because it's the same price as the not so good one. But unfortunately, that doesn't work. Clients go, well, hang on, why are you selling me a really good service at the same price as your normal service? So be careful when you're pricing things. You do have to have a logic to it. Otherwise, it can get confusing. If you went into a car dealership and they said, "Oh, you can have a standard kitted out car for this price, or you can have the super deluxe kitted out car for the same price," I think you're going to walk away.
Well, the trust has gone already, isn't it? Because it's like, that doesn't make sense. So I now don't trust you because there's some dishonesty going on here. So yeah, in the client's mind, unfortunately, that doesn't build the relationship. That can destroy it, can't it? Thank you, Charlotte. Yes, you've got 2 courses. So there's the win-win negotiation on that one, but the principles of pricing as well. Short courses, so both under £100. Go for it. If you need help on this subject, then you've got the information there to help you. Plus, daily workout light on the client sessions. John has done some daily workouts for us. We saw the 10-minute snippet ones. There'll be more information in there. So you can get stuff free here in the Recruiting Gym. Click on the green button. This has already got 33 sessions in it. The daily workout, I think there's over 100 in there, the DW light for you. So feel free to join up. We don't charge you anything. We do give a lot away for free, which I know John will go, no, that's totally wrong. But we're here to support the industry. That's part of our ethos, as well as, yes, we want to make money with our courses and our training. So that's why we don't negotiate on the stuff that we charge for, because we're already giving stuff away free. Right, move on, Angela. What's the next question that's come up? I'll just click the done answering on that. Question 4. Our company is getting much better at asking us how we're feeling, and it's not just about numbers and targets anymore. So I loved this discussion. They are taking time out, checking in on people's mental health and everything. This has all happened over the last couple of years, so it's brilliant. But there are still some topics that seem a little taboo and people struggle to talk about. So depression, manic depression, menopausal issues, they were the 3 they gave as examples that really seemed difficult. So Claire, how can we make this easier for people?
Okay. Well, first of all, well done that your company is now talking about other topics other than numbers and targets. So that's absolutely brilliant. Secondly, you're human. These are tough topics to talk about. Now, I remember when I went to do my mental health first aid instructor training, the instructor who was training us to be mental health first aid instructors started off all about suicide and how she had saved somebody who was about to take their own life, and she had done this, and this. And I was thinking, I'm never going to be able to talk to somebody who has suicidal thoughts. That is such a taboo topic. I've never talked to anyone about that. Now, through my experience, I feel very, very confident. And what we need to understand is these are taboo topics. I get that. They are topics that some people do not feel comfortable talking about. And we mostly don't feel comfortable talking about them if we lack experience in that area, or we haven't experienced that area ourselves. When I was a 25-year-old woman, I would never, ever have felt confident talking to the woman on my team who was 55 and going through menopause or gone through menopause. But now, having been through it myself, I feel a lot more confident. So what we need to understand is with some of these topics, we need to change our mindset and understand that these people are thinking about it all the time. If we're going through menopause as a woman, it's on our mind. And it's not something that's taboo to us. So another example is when my brother died suddenly of a brain tumor. I had never spoken to anybody who had been through that before. I didn't understand grief. But it was on my mind constantly. And the people who spoke to me and didn't ignore me were the people I really related to. Now, if I know of anyone who's going through grief or going through something like that, I know how to open up the conversation because I know how they're feeling. So my suggestion is, if you don't feel comfortable opening up that conversation, don't. But there will be somebody else who does. So find somebody else who does. But also, if you don't feel comfortable, try to work out why you don't feel comfortable and just think of your mindset as, I'm actually helping this person. This person's probably thinking about their depression or their manic depression or their psychosis or whatever it is constantly, if they've had suicidal thoughts. So in just opening up the conversation, you're not going to get a bad reaction. It's helping them. Think about helping them. It's a tough one. It's a really tough one.
I like the idea. Yeah, I like the idea of that. If you don't feel comfortable, then it could be opening up the conversation is by saying, it looks like you're suffering through this, or that this is actually the things. Would you like to speak to someone about it? I don't think it would be me. I don't think I'll be the right person, but let's find someone that is. Yeah. And then at least you're helping, aren't you? If it's really not for you. At the conference on Wednesday at the Excel, there was a lady there speaking about menopause and getting people to talk about it and for it not to be a taboo subject. And we've got, sorry, John, we're going to be plugging as well. It's a free course, The Menopause in Your Business, that Lauren Sheeran has done for us. And I always share this fact because she shared with me, she was asked by an F1 team, it's obviously all going on at the moment as well, to come in and talk to this team about menopause. And even her thoughts were, this is a male-orientated environment. How are they going to take this? Have they been told they've got to do it as a tick box or a quota or whatever? So she said, okay, I'm happy to do it, but I want to send out a questionnaire beforehand. And one of the questions on there was, are you either living with or working with someone going through menopause at the moment? In other words, is it in your life in any way, shape or form? And it's probably over 90% men that were replying. 100% said yes. 100%. Every single one of them. It was affecting them in some way in their lives. So it didn't matter what age, what sex, whatever. Everyone somewhere is affected by it. And you might not even know that that person is going through menopause. Maybe it's your client that suddenly started having mood swings. Let's just use that one as a starting point, because it tends to be one of the first ones that you see that something might be going on, and all of a sudden the relationship is struggling because they're not acting how they always have. So in business, it's about identifying these and letting the conversation open up, isn't it? So not
making assumptions, Angela, not making assumptions. So the question that I love asking, because, we don't know if they're going through menopause or what's going on. We don't know. So the one I love asking is, I've noticed you're not quite yourself lately. How are you feeling? And then they might divulge. But it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. And that's why the Mental Health First Aid course is so powerful, and any of the courses, because, I was a manager in recruitment like most of us here, and all our conversations were about targets in the 90s. I would never, ever have thought to have a conversation about anything else. So these conversations are different to our usual conversations.
Yeah, you're right. It used to be once a year, didn't it? In the appraisal, you might ask them how they're feeling about their job. They still relate back to their job at that point. And just to finish on that one, a different speaker on Wednesday said, ask people how they're feeling, and especially if you're feeling there. But he said, but don't ask once, ask twice.
Oh,
it doesn't have to be at the same time, a bit later in the day. I'm going to ask you again, how are you really feeling? To give them that chance, because the first one, a lot of people always say, fine, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Ask them again, ask twice. Love it. Thank you for that, Claire. Okay, let's go to the next question, which is, what is the biggest challenge when starting in recruitment? What should I be aware of? So let's come to Robin first, because you do help people set up in recruitment. But if they're starting, what would you say is their biggest challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the audience, anyone who is thinking about getting into recruitment, we'd love to have a discussion with you. So feel free to reach out to us on LinkedIn or through our email channels. What is the biggest challenge when starting in recruitment? The biggest challenge, I think, is one of the things that we see every day is ensuring that you're focused on what you're looking to achieve, and educating yourself on what a career in recruitment actually means. Those people we speak to who have done their reading and their research and understand what the role is and what the career progression is, because they've done some reading on even on Google, cursory searches even, are far more ready to take the plunge and speak to employers and speak to multiple employers. So the biggest challenge is getting started. Is actually getting started, is to put your hand up and start to actually look at the market and understand what you're getting yourself into. Once you do that, it's a snowball effect, and then you get interested and you start to understand. And actually, we have people who will interview with 2 or 3 different firms before they get an offer, and it's through that practice, research, improve, and iteration that they learn the skills of recruitment through the very active interviewing for those roles. So be proactive would be my biggest tip, and ask questions of those around you who are relevant. So come to the recruiting gym and have a look at the free courses. But seriously, because you're going to learn about it and you're going to understand more about it, and if you understand more about it, you're going to impress the potential employer.
We've had a couple of that where individuals have bought the 360 program because they wanted to learn about recruitment before they actually got into it. And I'm doing a case study at the moment with one lady that did that to up her skill level, and she got a job offer straight away. Admittedly, this was in the depths of COVID, so not many people were actually recruiting at that point, but she got a job straight away, and within 6 months she'd been made a team leader. So then she did the leadership and management program. It was amazing that, if someone's willing to put themselves out there and get some training, get some development, and like we say, the free stuff's there before they start. For me, the attitude is spot on. Then I'm really interested in bringing that person into recruitment if they're willing to put that effort in to start with. I'm going to come back, Claire, because obviously if you can take yourself back to when you first started in recruitment, what would you have said the biggest challenge is?
You know what I found the biggest challenge, because I was a teacher before I was in recruitment, and then I got into teacher recruitment, and I don't think a lot of people realize how salesy it is. And we had a lot of teachers try out recruitment because we didn't interview them very well in those days, and they just thought we were sitting behind a desk chatting to people on the phone. So it's really letting people understand that actually there is a lot of, and I don't like the word sales, but it is sales at the end of the day, and we've got to get their mindset that we need to perform. So I think that could be the biggest challenge for some people.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, that links back to playing to people's strengths again, doesn't it? The first question that we had, because even if you're a candidate consultant, don't think there isn't any sales in it. You are selling to that candidate just as much as if you were selling to a client. It's just the mindset's different, isn't it? If you're calling a business and trying to get people to pay for your services, it is different to calling a candidate and trying to sell a job to them, but it's still all sales. So yeah, you're right. Sales, we've sort of come away from it a bit. So business development, yes. And we say mindset, think about it as developing your business rather than business development. So you are developing your business in whatever way, shape or form that is. Everyone's got to be involved in that. Yep, love that. John, what about when you started? What would you say your biggest challenge was?
I think as with many people starting in recruitment, it's a lack of experience of kind of a commercial atmosphere. So I think working on your depth of understanding is crucial. And I'm taking this from a value point of view. You know, what do your clients value? Don't make the mistake of thinking they're recruiting for a job because they're recruiting for a candidate because they need to fill the job. That is the most surface level answer. But why are they trying to fill that role? And to do that, you need to understand the business. You need to understand their motivations behind why they're recruiting. So really getting in deep to that. And I think, well, Robin can answer this, but I think a lot of great early stage recruiters ask a lot of questions and listen really well. So it's not just great, you've got a job, my boss told me to get a job, and then put a candidate in the job. It's like, oh, there's a job on. What are you expecting from that role? What changes do you want to happen commercially for you as a business? What are you aiming to do? What are your objectives? And by doing that, you understand then your position in the whole system. So you value yourself more. You know, Claire and I have talked about this previously. Self-worth and valuing what you do is so important, both financially and from a mental health perspective. If you understand how important you are to the process, so this business wants to grow, so needs to bring in new salespeople who are hard to find, and you can be the person to broker that. You can introduce them to people they wouldn't otherwise find, and then that allows them to achieve their business goals. Double the size of their business, sell the business, whatever. Ask the question and find out what that goal is. You'll understand your position and how important recruiters are.
Love that answer.
Can I jump in there quickly?
Yeah. Go.
Just to talk to the commercial element of what John was saying. The thing we help people do at Rubric Talent is to help tell their story based on the experience in which they already have. Because there's so much when you're looking for young people in regards to transferable skills from education, extracurricular work experience, and so on and so forth, volunteering, that what you need to do is look at what you have in your toolkit then and think about how it's relevant to the job. And if you can articulate that, I worked hard to earn money to buy a car. Okay, why did you buy a car? To get to my job. That shows, the drive, it shows motivation, it shows relevance. Even simple things like that speak to potential employers. And so being commercially relevant isn't about just understanding the end job, but it's actually understanding the commercial relevance in your world, if you like.
Yeah, really, really important. And I think we do go quite a way with the candidates, don't we, around their motivating factors. Why are they looking to move? Why would they join? What's going to be most important for them? But asking the client the motivating factors behind the hire, we just assume it's because they need a job filled. And therefore, those assumptions can change the recruitment process again and get potentially the wrong person. You have to start again. So let's make sure we question the client on their motivating factors as well as the candidate. Right. We're coming up to the last question, guys. So if you have a question that you want to ask, make sure you put it either in the ask a question or in the chat, and it will give you the option to change it into a question as well, so that we can get those for you for the coaches. Right. Question 5 then. Claire, I'm coming back to you first, and then I'm coming to Robin. International Women's Day this week, but stats wise, someone's told me this earlier in the week. I thought I'm going to check that out. So I went and got the right stats. There's still only 18 female CEOs in the FTSE top 250. So 6 in the 100, 12 in the rest of the other 150. That is the same as 2016, but actually the graph went down. I'll put the link in actually to where I found that graph and the details when they said it, because he asked me and I actually said 4 because I thought it'd be worse than that. So it wasn't too bad with the 18, but still that's 18 out of 250. So how can we get more women, be more inclusive in the top level of leadership? What do you think, Claire?
I have reread this question because there are so many different ways you can answer this. And I'm going to go off piste a bit with this, because the question says, how can we be more inclusive? Actually, in the world, 1% of women earn 7 figures. 1%. So I've been doing a lot of work on this year, and I've been getting coached on all of this because women have a mind block that we are not entitled to earn 6+ figures. It's our mindset. And to be successful, so if you want to be a CEO in the FTSE 250, I don't want to be one, but if you do, you need that mindset. You need the right mindset. If you want to earn 6 figures, you need that right mindset. If you want to earn 7 figures, you need that right mindset. And it's women who don't have the mindset. And do you know where it stems from? This is so intriguing. I've done so much work on this with myself this year.
I'm guessing imposter syndrome at this point.
No, it stems from our grandmothers.
Oh,
it's from our grandmother.
Thanks.
So my grandmother worked dog hard. The grandfather was the income earner. She worked dog hard sewing to get my mother and her sister through private school. She worked like a dog. Now, the thing is, I'm sorry, that's a terrible saying, but, I've used it now. But the thing is, so my mindset has been that I have to work really, really hard, but not earn much. And it stems from our grandmothers. And I've actually worked with a mindset coach to get over that mindset. And I've got the right mindset now. And it's really intriguing. So, sorry, I have changed that question because the question is, how do we help to be more inclusive at the top level? Women have to work on our mindset so that we can get to the top level, because I'm thinking the reason is the mindset's not right. So have I gone too far off?
No, I think you're right. We did a whole week on imposter syndrome, and it was pretty much all women that turned up in that scenario because, we don't feel like we're worthy of that. I'll be interested to know. I don't know if you've got the stat of how many men earn 7 figures.
It's a lot higher. I don't know the stat because I wasn't, but I do have a couple of brilliant mindset coaches if you would like to get them on, because
lovely.
They work with women on their mindset.
Yeah, get the links in the chat as well, and we'll put them into, because this gets downloaded. Anything we reference gets put into the course as well, so you can always go back and have a look at these. Robin, I'm coming to you next then. So what do you think we can do to make it more inclusive?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, what we do every day in and out is we support young people into careers. And what we know from historically is that women lack some of the things that make it really easy for men to succeed. And so those include things like networks, where as a young woman coming into professional life is your network. And so we are working with groups that help support women build networks in professions, so that there is something that they can stand up to and get advice and interact and network with other people who are coming up the career ladder, so that you can reinforce and build confidence and goal setting and all the things that the men have been doing naturally or to the detriment of women, I suppose, in some ways, because you've not been included in the club, if you like.
So build networks. Club, yeah.
The old boys club, right? And so build networks would be my first suggestion, and do so from as early as you can in your career. To the question itself, which is how can we make it more inclusive at the top of leadership? Well, that's a very difficult question, because you're talking about changing mindsets and values of people who are, shall we say, getting close to retirement. And it's a generational shift where we're going to see improvement with this stuff. You should keep calling out industry and regulatory bodies where they don't show inclusion in their composition. That's one of the easiest ways that I think you can start to tackle these things. Is it's not just, X company doesn't have a female CEO, but why does this group of companies that have come together for their industry, why don't they have a women representative, even if they're not a CEO on that board? Women don't then get the experience in order to get the promotion, and so on and so forth. So it's about calling out organizations and groups of organizations where they're not inclusive as well.
I'm just wondering, actually, because it's always an issue. We always try and make sure that sort of HR or L&D has a voice on the board and is in there. And of course, traditionally, it used to be a very female-orientated environment, HR, and therefore those people at the top were a lot of women. I'm just wondering, was that actively keeping them out of the boardroom, so HR didn't have a voice in that sense. And I'm hoping that's been changed over the last 5 to 10 years. So these people will be coming through. Go for it, John.
I'm just picking up on, again, how can we help? So I imagine most people on here aren't running FTSE 250 companies, but probably quite a few of us are or have worked and recruited for FTSE 250 companies. So actually, we have a position of influence to get diversity in all forms onto the agenda. And what I'm seeing is more of our clients, as recruiters, more of our clients know they should be doing something with diversity. The message is starting to get through, and we're in the right place to help them. It doesn't mean they have the skills or the ability or even the language to take that next step. But of course, we're there with them, partnering to help them recruit new people. So absolutely, when we're breaking down our services and talking about the value we add to them, we should be including diversity services in that and saying, look, I can help you with here. I'm doing this every day. You are not recruiting every day for a senior person. I might. So if I am doing that, I absolutely should be learning more about that, signing up to courses and understanding what the issues are and some of the solutions from a recruiting perspective, and then bringing that up at the start of the process with the client and offering it to them. And to be honest, to my earlier answer, some clients will say, oh yeah, we really value that. We want that. We would choose you to help us do that. And some just aren't at that point yet. So again, if you make it a choice and engage them at the very start, some will say, oh yes, this is a problem for us. We want help. Maybe we're not able to get further, but now you've mentioned it, yes, please help us on that journey.
You're right. As an industry, we have that opportunity to do that, don't we? So maybe it's one of those other taboo conversations that we need to just break that down and always have it whenever we're recruiting, talk about their leadership team and whether there is diversity in there and how they're changing that. I'm glad to say, well, that's our last question, and ask the coach. That was one of my things that I wanted to make sure that we bring voices along, a diverse range of people. We've had 55 coaches, I think, on here now, of which 33 have been women. So we have actually been a little bit the other way. Maybe I pushed it a little bit too far. It'll probably end up 50-50 by the end of the year. But at the moment, the women are just sneaking in there with a few more. So that's fantastic. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Really helpful for people that are on their recruitment journey, wherever they are, to get information if they need help. So let's just go back to the poll. What did we end up with? Oh, bear with me, because I've just spotted another question's come up. So let's get in there before. Someone said, in relation to question 2, what is the biggest challenge when starting in recruitment? When starting a new division within a recruitment agency, a division in an industry that they have never targeted before, what should be a top priority? 1, building brand confidence. 2, building a database of candidates. 3, new BD. Or 4, something else. Right, so it's a new agency, industry they've never worked in. 1, 2, 3, or 4. What do you think? So I'll ask each of the coaches. 1 is brand confidence, 2 is database of candidates, 3 is BD, or 4 you get something else. So let's go. Who's off mute? Robin, what would you say out of those 4 that they feel should be the priority?
Well, my view, now bear in mind, I come from a sales background, is to go and find your demand first, because ultimately your demand is going to drive your sourcing function. Because if you go off and find a whole lot of one of the things about recruitment is you don't control the product. You don't control your supply. Someone they can interview with lots of recruiters. They can take a job elsewhere. You don't, if you have supply, you have it for a very short period of time for a very specific reason. And so go and find that demand first, I think, and then solve the client's problem. Okay.
John, what do you think?
Make it easy for yourself and make yourself more valuable. Pick a niche. So go more niche than you think. So don't say, oh, I'm going to be a tech recruiter. It's like most roles now are tech, right? Most recruitment feels like it's tech. Don't be financial services. Find something really niche. First of all, you should be able to find, are there any other people who sound that niche? So I guess this is coming into brand confidence. So if there's someone already there, can you be different to them, or are you always going to be playing second fiddle to them?
Okay.
But then if you're going to learn, you need to learn about that industry. The narrower the niche, the easier that is. Don't try and learn about tech. God knows how many coding languages there are. Learn one language and say, yeah, I do Python. Fine. Great. Then you can learn and go deeper.
And we can afford to do that in the market that it is. I think the market determines some of this answer as well, doesn't it? And at the moment, there's enough work for everyone that you can afford to do that. Claire?
And off the back of those answers, it's just research both of them. Talk to people, ask questions. Don't assume. Recruitment's about building relationships. So building relationships with the right people in the right niche, where the right demand is. So I brought it all together.
So you're right, actually, that 4 is rather than something else, is all of the above in your research. So rather than actually going off and putting a load of money into this, you're right. So find where the clients are, find the niche, find the knowledge that you need, find your competitors that are in that field as well, so that you know what's the likelihood of you being able to get business in here as well. And yeah, where are the skill shortages? So what is it they're going to be looking for? So you get a fast start when you do actually go for it. So I think that was Faye. The avatar is Faye. So I hope that's answered your question for you, Faye. Feel free. The links for the coaches are in the chat. So if you need to connect with them and find out a little bit more, do that. Feel free to join us in the recruiting gym. You can always ask a question in the discussions box on each of the pages as well. Fantastic. Thank you for your time. I'm just making sure there's another question there now. It's probably because I didn't, oh no, I didn't click the done answering. There we go. That's fine. We're all good. Let's just go back to the poll and see what percentage we ended up with then. So we ended up with 40%, 360, 60%. So the 180 is definitely winning at the moment. So I think certainly a lot of the companies I've been talking to, that's how they've been set up as well. So play to your strengths, everyone. Enjoy it. It's an amazing industry. Let's make sure we're here for the long term. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you for your time. We'll see you all soon. We're back in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.